Let's see. How much are we looking at around here? Where am I standing now? Okay. Huh. A somewhat confusing implementation of first person here for getting around. Let's see. I, Latrok of the Payeetas clan, come before you at Pinorvia Point within the walls of this main chambers. To greet and welcome the other members of the Payeetas clan under the watch of this Phalidian community. I am here to serve, guide, and protect the people of this Phalidian under the light of the Pelskas. Today, I will aid the discussions relevant to strengthening our community, hearing the voice of our people, and helping to develop the harvesting and delivery of our Payeetas. In the name of Fezalta, in the name of Konanovic. Whoa. I can look around. I can look forward at that. Did I just walk onto the table? So each of their styles of triangle is here. That's a left pointing one, that's a right pointing one, that's up pointing in the other. So down must be on the other side. Almost looks like buttons. Am I physically climbing onto the table in that moment, I wonder? Kind of funny to think about. I don't think I can click on that. It kind of looks like a button. The amount of noise. I guess I'm climbing all the way into the table. Or all the way into the chair in that moment. Let's focus on the table and not go into the surrounding outside area at all right now. So try to parse what I'm going through here. The main chambers, Philzaltian knowledge, the creation of the Volk Towers. Let these words of our land, our blood, keep on empowering our people to shine, to be the best we can be, and learn from our mistakes to make Fezalta a better world to live in. By the order of Lord Konanovic, I, Inerta, one of the 4 rulers of Fezalta, do hereby share my knowledge of our Fezaltian ways. Once Hain had perished, and Sharus had gone into hiding, myself and other 3 rulers of Fezalta decided that extra security and protection measures needed to be implemented. The levitation crane was the main concern. It needed to be separated from the rest of Neyyah, just as the Velatron temple had been separated from the rest of Phalidian via a portal built inside a deep cavern. During this time, murals had also been drawn up, depicting 4 core processes behind the importance of Payeetas. They were placed around the walls of the cavern, where the portal of the Velatron temple sat at its center. Payeetas would be required to enter the portal cave, which was built into the cliffs on the Levandus Crystal coastline, and the portal's activation would also require the 4 members of the Payeetas clan to insert Payeetas. Lord Konanovic brought together the members of the Payeetas clan and worked alongside an engineer named J.L.B. Scarliti, the son of La Fielk. Scarliti, who had designed the Scarliti Towers. The son of Lofiok Scarliti, who had designed the Scarliti Towers. Together they developed a very powerful teleportation system, strong enough to be able to separate large areas of land. 4 towers were built called the Volk Towers, which contained a very complicated plasma energy, stored within the walls of the towers and running deep down into the rocky islands each Volk Tower was built upon. The plasma is very well protected. If the towers are destroyed, an explosive surge of energy is sent out across a large radius which will destroy anything in its path. How did you know that? Has it happened before, I wonder? Volk Towers also send energy to large areas of Neyyah that require power, such as old Fezaltian light systems and the mechanisms once used to power the old portal to the Velatron Temple. Scarliti Towers was one of the was the one area of Neyyah which was required to maintain its original location, due to where the Payeetas were grown below the levitation crane. 3 other major land masses were separated. however, consisting of Philitsu Island, Pinorvia Point, and Glorfiak Mines, while a sanctuary zone is created for the Nyashka plant area, forming a center point for being able to access these 4 areas of Neyyah via powerful portal systems called Felita portals. Huge discrepancies were put between these areas of Neyyah, generating various weather systems and time zones. Trying to register that sentence. Huge distances were put between these areas of Neyyah, generating various weather systems and time zones. Like, they generated just feels weird there. Like, because it implies, like, almost like human creation. We created distance, therefore we created weather and time zones? Is it tied to the teleporting? So they were talking about teleporting existing land, so I guess they're... but like the weather would still be independent of human behaviors, right? Machines were created to help... machines were created to keep track of 3 different details associated with the Volk-separated areas of Neyyah. The sun's position, the location of Neyyah, and the current weather temperature. Each Volk tower shows its active power source with a large... Jalida portal symbol. Is that Jalida? Talida. A large Talida portal symbol built on top of each tower, glowing bright with the color-specific Neyyah location. The Volk towers have enabled Neyyah to remain protected from any potential Elopolite attack and keep the production of Payeetas prospering. So they avoid a Elopolite attack by teleporting each chunk of their civilization around? I don't think I understood until now, even, that they were moving the islands around. I knew that technology existed on some level because they moved that tower, but I didn't realize that their entire civilization was essentially nomadic, and they've been moving each piece of it around to keep dodging attacks, if that's what I'm interpreting correctly from here. Balalka, and I think the rest of this is just always the same? I could be wrong, but I think they're all saying the same things. They really did like create an entire essential, seeming like almost like a religion built entirely around creating Payeetas? Payeetas. If something was here, it's gone now. Halist. Let these words of our land, our blood, keep on empowering our people to shine, to be the best we can be, and learn from our mistakes to make Fazalta a better world to live in. By the order of Lord Kunanovik, I, Tessil, one of the 4 rulers of Fazalta, do hereby share my knowledge of our Fazaltian ways. This was the harvesting of Payeeta. The sun was setting, sending rays of orange and purple light to paint the wooden planks of the harbor bridge below my feet, creaking ever so softly through the otherwise calm lull of sea breeze. That evening, as a memorable... oh, the Fugi blinked. Ah, damn it. Right about that. Alright. That evening was a memorable moment, having returned earlier that day from a successful Payeeta harvest with 2 of the harvesters based on Philitsu Island, Veok and Caleb. Before I had stepped foot into the boat docked at the harbor, Veok met me close to the got me out of sorts. I had to like reset. Before I had stepped foot into the boat docked at the harbor, Veok met me close to the Canty Hall. I rejoiced at the sound of many workers, enjoying one another's company in the warm embrace of delicious drinks and food, and I felt comforted that our efforts to keep a productive and happy community thriving were proving successful. This Philidian was prospering. Veok told me that the leaven dishing furnace at the gun tower, which the workers on Neyyah refer to as Leriti, needed to be activated before we departed the harbor to sail to the Scarlatti Towers. Caleb met us at the bottom of the tower where the Lavandis crystal furnace was situated. I had never seen one of these mechanisms in operation before. One Lavandis crystal from the Irlinish rock is placed within the furnace. A clamp with a needle is used to penetrate the crystal and keep it secured underneath the metal shade, brought over the crystal on a small round spinning concrete table. A gas called litivium is released from the crystal once the furnace is activated. This gas is lifted up into the top floor of the gun tower, powering the guns mounted there. This all needs to be operational before the harvest is brought back to the harbor from the Scarlatti Towers, so defenses are in place against any possible Elopolite attacks. As well as this, the Elopolite shield is manned before the boats can depart for the harvest. The plasma bulb shield itself needs to be prepared for activation and if any Elopolite attack occurs. Usually 4 workers can easily man the shield's plasma fountain flute system. The Golo crafts need to be positioned to correct stations at the Elopolite shield. Elopolite attacks were once heavily targeted at the harbor due to the arrival of the Payeetas harvest. And Shrew's Calafricles, I think that's Calafrical? And Shrew's Calafricle's thirst for Payeetas. The shield is now more of a precaution than a required defense measure. Despite Sarush's whereabouts remaining unknown, there have been no sightings of his foul Elopolite creations for a good few years. The sedation chamber has been inactive at the Glorfik mines for quite some time now. So, with everything in place, we are finally able to board the... That's what... I was about to point this out, and yeah... It's a bit of a jarring writing style, that we started with, like... I've pointed this out. The sun was setting, sending rays of orange and purple light to paint the wooden planks of the harbor below my feet. Like, we're telling a story in first person with like a bunch of adjectives and description, but then we just have like 2 pages of like exposition immediately about just like how this all works and how this whole mess is, and I'm just like, these 2 things just kind of don't mix. Like, I feel like you'd either write a thing that is a schematic explanation of how stuff works, or you would write a narrative description of what somebody was experiencing. But writing 2 pages of narration followed by 2 pages of expositing the logistics of how a specific thing works just is like a weird thing for that person to do. And like, I don't know why they, like, it's weird for the game to do it, but it's also weird for the character to do it in universe. Of like, why is there storytelling thing starting with a story, but then nothing really happens in the story yet. Now here's a huge digression about how something works. Now back to talking in first person about what's happening. And you're like, you figure you're either here to tell the story of what you're up to, or you're here to explain how this stuff works, and those would be 2 different documents, really. So, with everything in place, we were finally able to board the boat docked at the harbor. The Toledo Triangle Gateway started to rise, bringing in beautiful white rays of sunlight. One of the harbor operators worked the spin rod mechanism built on the shore of a small watchtower, enabling the boat to start its descent down the main ramp using machinery built many moons ago in Fazaltian past, before the railcart tracks were constructed from the See, no one talks like this, right? We started this paragraph being like, ah yes, the beautiful white sunlight of the blah blah blah. This is experience. My senses are being engaged right now. And then it just switches to like the age of the ramp and stuff, and you're like, wait, what? Well, no, wait, which experience are we discussing here? Before the railcar tracks were constructed from the harbor out to the Payeetas factory for Payeetas delivery. Before long, we had set sail, cutting up the... Is it cutting? Yeah. Cutting up the glistening white strips of sunlight that kissed the ocean waves. A flock of telebroke birds flew overhead, as though helping to guide us on our voyage. We were instructed by Caleb that a second boat will be meeting us halfway on our journey. The boat will be the second harvest collector to fulfill the Payeetas harvest generation operations at the levitation crane. I soon spotted the shape of the Scarlatti Tower's walled basin, where where three big rounded chambers split the blue sky behind them in impressive silhouettes. A gorgeous mix of high concrete walls plated in golden plaques depicting the Visaltian flora were the foundations to a walkway connecting each of the three towers together. Were the foundations of a walkway. Another flock of Talobrock birds swept over us as the grinding metal gears of the two entrances into the basin of the Scarlatti Towers began to groan into life. Our boats were heaped with crates ready to store the Payeetas. They rattled endlessly as we passed through the gate, into the flooded basin of the Scarlatti Towers. Then the thunderous cheer of the Visaltian audience burst to life, onlookers getting ready to witness the spectacle about to take place. Having arrived here for this special occasion from various areas of Visalta, Neyyah provided a fantastic presentation of Payeeta harvesting, unlike any other Palladian. Our boat was suddenly enshrouded by bright sunlight as the silhouettes of the Scarlatti Towers loomed above us. The levitation crane awaited us. We continued sailing over the still, calm waters that had filled the basin of the Scarlatti Towers. People gathered at specific entrances into the arena, pushing themselves against the railings, cheering as loud as they could at the sight of our approaching boats, about to embark on a process which served as a crucial bloodline for this land. It's interesting to imagine a world where there is like an entire audience enthusiastically engaged over something simply because it's important to that society. Like, what a foreign concept as an American, the idea that this ever happens. There's ritualized stuff, like there's like, there's a lot of like, parades about the abstract concept of patriotism and stuff like that. Rarely are people like, yeah, forest preservation, woo! Oh no, there's like a whole arena of people cheering on the people that are gonna go work on something important. So it's like kind of fascinating to think like they're just here to harvest the Payeetas, and they're like, yeah, woohoo! Like imagining the space is fascinating. Maybe they make a whole festival about it, I guess, right? Like it's like a cultural enjoyment thing, like a harvest festival. So everyone's just having a show. Right afterwards, somebody like wrestles a shark as part of the ceremonies. Like when people, like bull jockeys. Vioque anchored the boat halfway from the entrance into the basin and the chute of the levitation tower, consisting of a cylinder of gold metal with a large gap at its center, tapering up towards a giant rod fused with various sized Levandis crystals. This served as the main power source of levitation required to bring the Payeetas out of the water, ready for collection. The crane began to burst into life. The two large half-disc shaped metal plates started closing in towards the Levandis crystal power source, causing the crystals to start glowing a bright green. These clamps would help power and focus the levitation crane's energy into the center of the chute. Our boats were getting very close at this stage, nearing the center of the chute, where the Payeetas would be levitated out of the water. An eruption was occurring below the water's surface, causing the water inside the chute of the levitation crane to swell. The levitation was in process. In process versus in progress? I'm curious about that. Signaled by a loud screech of shifting metal high above the crane. The hum of the crane's energy started to ring deep in my ears. Vibrations surged through the boat and worked their way deep into my bones. I had never felt anything like this before. I knew that the harvesting of Payeetas required powerful sources of energy, but I could also feel how primal it was. The disturbance of the Payeetas, untouched for years, now being brought into the open air for the first time. Koranovic had done well in choosing this specific location for the harvesting. Slowly, the white orb shapes of the emerging with an eye? Aren't they emerging from the water? Hang on a minute. Emerging. What is this word? Emerging is the opposite of emerging. It means to plunge into something. Yeah, like immerse, basically. I feel like that's a weird... I don't know. Does that fit? Aren't they rising out of the water? Slowly, the white orb shapes of the emerging, newly harvested Payeetas began to rise out of the water. Vyok signaled to me that it was now time to start approaching the tower. While the Payeetas were levitating at the center of the crane's chute, the energy of the levitation was at a safe level to begin the harvesting process. The cheers of the surrounding onlookers grew louder. An intense rush of excitement filled the area, racing across the flooded waters of the basin almost as fast as the vibrating energy of the levitation crane. I looked up and witnessed the workers in the Scarlatti Towers leaning out of the windows, most likely due to having finished the tasks required to make the levitation process run smoothly. I almost forgot myself too. This audience had become aware that one of the Fazaltian rulers would be present for this specific harvest. I wouldn't say my presence here made much of a difference to the operations being conducted today. Vyok and Caleb were the prime examples of the hard work and dedication needed to oversee the harvesting of the Payeetas. While I had been aware of Quinonovic's push for new designs and Payeeta harvesting mechanisms, I had not fully understood its powers, its complexities, or the raw power required from Philidian workers. They were the true heroes. Once we were close enough to the chute of the levitation crane, Vyok used rope to secure the boat to a wooden post close to a ladder leading up the side of the chute. While I stayed in the boat, Vyok climbed the ladder to a small platform jutting out of a hallway up to the side of the chute and opening a door which led inside the crane itself. The second boat began to slowly move in towards the center of the crane. There was a shift in the energy flow emitted from the crystals. I felt the water below the boat swell for a second. The hum of energy running through the metal of the chute started to change, lowering in its frequency. Before long, the bright green glow emitted by the lavandis crystals high above started to dim, replaced by a cool shade. From where I was positioned on the boat, I could see the Payeetas had now fallen back down to the water's surface. The second boat was now slowly moving into the center of the chute to collect the beautiful white orbs, which would later become the colorful keys of power used on every Philidian on Feyamore. We left the Scarlatti Towers with 8 crates of Payeetas, a very successful harvest. Upon my return to the harbor, Vyok and Caleb departed to the Chianti Hall to rest and enjoy some leisure time after a hard afternoon's work. I decided to join another worker by the name of Lee-sun into transporting the Payeetas to the cart nearby. The Payeeta factory would receive these Payeetas on the other side of the rail, where the Payeetas clan shall perform their magic on the newly harvested Payeetas. My moment spent harvesting the Payeeta filled me with great pride and joy, knowing how strong our community had become. As a working force, as a people, I am proud of the men and women working so hard in delivering the resources needed to keep building our world and feeding the souls of our community. Neyyah flourishes. This was quite an adventure. I guess I don't understand why, and I don't know if this has come up before or it hasn't or not. We know that the Payeetas are given designations of their power level. Well, that part's intuitive. That's like an objective thing about the Payeeta. But then they have a location, and then they function just have like a number on them. They insisted on giving them all a different spinny little circle, which makes them denoted differently from each other. But specifically, you need to use the correct Payeeta on the correct location every time in order to power things. It can't just be the correct power level. Like, you would think it would be like, oh, this battery, this one takes AA's, this one takes AAA's. But no, it's like, it has to have a specific triangle on it and a specific little diagonal line in a circle. And those parts are weirder. Because I don't know if they actually customize the Payeetas to make them specialized to specific devices. And in particular, I don't understand why they would just have like what's functionally a number on them, and then that number is like actually functional. Like they have to use the correct number in the correct spot. Because like it could be that the triangle is indicating that the thing is customized in some way to be ready for that specific type of device. But then you would think you would basically be like, okay, this is this power level and it's for this device, and then you leave them at that. And then you could like, and the ones for the same device type would be interchangeable. But they have a specific serial number, basically, and they can only be used for the specific object that has the same serial number. So every object, every device in the civilization seemingly can only be compatible with a very specific battery. Not type of battery, that one battery right there. So if you lose that battery, that device can't be used, and if you need to use that device, you have to find that very specific battery, which also means that battery can't be used for anything else. You can't swap parts out. I just don't get why they would organize their society in that way. It feels like it only exists to justify this inventory, which itself is a little strange, because you think they'd be like, oh, you need Payeetas of these quality levels, put them in these places. I've kind of felt strange about this whole game, though, because I also, like, you would kind of think you would just find Payeetas over time, then use them to power things in a video gamey sort of way. Whereas in this game, we have the entire inventory selection of Payeetas in the exact configuration we'll need, and all of them are unique. And that part's weirder. Particularly because it feels like a lot of elements of what we're going through were not fully planned out, and the guy that sent us on this mission kind of had to improvise a bit, and things were going messy. So I'm like, how is he ready for something so specific here? Okay, there's also an upstairs. I'm gonna check the pews and pictures for any surprises around here. That's every type of plant, it looks like. Those are also clearly robots, right? Is that the armor they used to wear to fight back when they used spears? Because it shows spears. We shall protect our people, our Pelska, our Philidian. What's that? Nope, can't look at that. Those almost look like books, but it looks like it's seemingly is like sort of like middle point of the backrest. Oh, I can go behind this one. Something going on over here? This is curious. I can't go over there, though. Huh, I can go behind the pews, but just in those two spots, but on this side. I wonder why. I am disoriented and not sure where I came in here, so I don't know which door I came in through. We have two doors down here, and then we have stairs that go upstairs. Oh, there's the statues. Oh, so it was pictures of the statues that themselves have the eyes that they wear. This might be the new direction, or it might just look different from that angle. I can double check. There's ladders. Okay, down here is a door that's, a boat that's obliterated. See, this is seemingly all new. This is how they used to get here. It might even be at the boat spot I saw in that one painting. Oh. Rule of threes. That's her face again. Alright, well, I think we can definitively say that this is the new direction. Let's check upstairs before we leave the building. I double check this is where I came in from. Yeah. Yeah, that's the portal from before. An elevator that goes somewhere. Should I check out this other direction first? So full of elevators this entire civilization is. No camera signal. Camera in use. Crystal block mech camera. Location, arrival sector. Crystal block mech status. Payeetas required for connection to Neyyah Platinum System 2. Camera active, requires power. Awaiting symbol generation. Requires connection to Neyyah Platinum System 2. A lot of screenshots for future reference where I'm just like, I'll have to decode where and what that is. We're still trying to uncover where all you can even go, which is an important step for being able to actually do everything later. Oh? Should be a horizontal or diagonal like that. Yeah, horizontal. I have that Payeetas. Take a picture of those. This might be a case where I need to know which Payeetas to put in the thing, but I have to know it based on here. I have to remember the adjacent photos, basically. These might have kind of redundant information, it looks like. And for that matter, it's the 3 green Payeetas, it looks like. Well, no, this one's blue, right? The crane camera. I think they actually basically say the same stuff as each other. But the relationship of these screenshots next to each other will help explain what I'm looking at here. Crystal block mech cameras and the crane camera. I should look for the gravitation crane to find out where its camera is. And there's the big chamber. And where do you go? Birdie. Bye. Yo, you fly slowly. Little perch. I actually can't go out there. It just seems like that's where you're supposed to go. Access to this tower. Are those supposed to have binoculars attached to them or something? They do resemble little tourist perches. So I walked over there, I think, which has the left symbol. Because this area has a series of towers. There's different ways to access each one. And I assume they have each of the 4 symbols. Can't see if this one does. Where is it? Don't think I can see it. This one's easy to put in. So another one of these should be good. That's the same symbol that happened before when I put one in, right? Is it because there's a bunch of towers that look the same, or they're all required to power the same tower? I'm not always sure what I'm looking at. I got to do a thing. That always feels good. And this is all Pinorvia Point. So I came in from the portal, and then on that one path I started on, you can go down here to the old dock. This is the wall, and then go down here to go continue forward. That's the Pelska Shrine, apparently. And the Constellation Tower. That might give me the constellation numbers. That's the signal tower and the camera tower. Hmm. And then there just is an old guard tower. Should be on my way back and below me. I can't really look down to see it right now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we can look over here. Each have their own triangle. I can't read the symbols on those, if those are legible. I'm still wondering if that one symbol we saw before on the floor, or under the floor, was related to one of the, like, I wonder where we relate that to. It was a series of symbols that you presumably can input somewhere. Or learn from. You. Is there another one of these? It's the other one. Okay. I'm under the impression this one is supposed to be tall. God, when did I last see that note? You. Short, tall, medium. So I've set them both to be like that. I'm not sure if I understand what these things are. But I also don't know which color is supposed to be in which one. It's just called the crystal mechanism, which is what I would call it if I guessed. Which isn't very helpful to describe what its purpose is. So they gave me two crystal of different colors. I have a diagram indicating what... I have a diagram that indicates which height crystal to go where. In both cases, the crystal does not match the existing crystals. And given that there are two different colors, it makes me wonder if I'm supposed to put the two of them in a specific one, and I could have them backwards, potentially. Nope. Found one. All these little symbols. I wonder if they're purely decorative or if their order means something. Also, am I ever going to find another plant? Because I've been running around with these mushrooms forever. I guess I have these spores too. But given the long description of all the plants, I kind of thought I'd be collecting them and using them for their purposes. And it so far hasn't really come up. The blue one goes here. But where? Well, I know what I'm reading next episode. Taking a break real quick.